What's up, guys? Welcome to a DFS Week 5 main slate preview. We're going to be breaking down all the games for Week 5 in the main slate for DraftKings prices, and we are going to get right into it here now. First up, we are going to go over the Minnesota Vikings. We have the Giants and the Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota is traveling to New York in this game, and there's been a lot of talk about Kirk Cousins and these Giants pass catcher or the Vikings pass catchers and what to do with them essentially. And for me, Kirk Cousins at 5,300 on DraftKings, Adam Thielen at 6,700 on DraftKings. This is a stack that needs to be considered in GPPs in Week 5. All the talks throughout the week have been about doing more in the passing game. It's something that it's squeaky wheel gets the grease, and I'm buying it, especially when it comes to Adam Thielen. His price is not that high. And so he's a guy that we've seen in the past really perform with Kirk Cousins at a high level. So I really think that Adam Thielen is a good play here in GPPs and Kirk Cousins. Everybody hates Kirk Cousins, honestly. Like, his ownership is going to be super low owned, and I just don't think that a lot of people are going to be on Kirk Cousins specifically. So I think he's actually a viable streamer in both DFS and season-long leagues. Cousins literally came out and apologized to Adam Thielen for not getting the ball enough. And it could be a big blow-up spot for both of them, just considering the matchup. The New York ranks 4th worst against the wide receiver position and 7th worst against the quarterback position in fantasy points allowed. Also, in this game in particular, I'm going to probably be fading Wayne Gallman. I don't like the matchup against the stout Minnesota defense. They've allowed the 6th fewest fantasy points to running backs this year, and their fantasy points were heavily inflated, specifically to Wayne Gallman. His fantasy points last game were heavily inflated by touchdowns last week. The Vikings have allowed just one rushing touchdown to running backs this season. Another game I want to talk about, so Jaguars at Panthers. The best value on the board for DraftKings defense has to be the Panthers defense at 2,600. They've scored double-digit fantasy points for 3 straight weeks and have 17 sacks over that time span. You want to keep in the status. Jalen Ramsey's out in this game, so that automatically makes guys like DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel, who's at 4,500, a really, really great play for a low-value wide receiver. Without Ramsey last week, the top receivers for the Broncos scored 18 and 24 fantasy points respectively. For the Jacksonville Jaguars, the only player you can really lean on here is Leonard Fournette at 6,400. He has still not scored a touchdown yet this season, and that trend is going to end very soon. The amount of touches Fournette is getting is just too many for him not to have scored a touchdown yet. It just doesn't add up. Fournette has 96 total touches this season, which translates to 24 per game. At this rate, it's just a matter of time until Leonard Fournette finds the end zone. Now, our favorite game of the week here is going to be the Atlanta Falcons traveling to Houston to face the Texans. This game is going to be a great game for if you have a guy that you want to play in this game, you play him. And that's really what you're going to see here in DFS. This is going to be a highly targeted game for DFS stacks for GPPs. It combines 2 high-powered offenses with 2 really bad defenses. Deshaun Watson, 6,700, deserves consideration in both cash games and in GPPs because he has that rushing upside that makes it a great floor play in cash games, along with a great ceiling play in GPPs. Matt Ryan's also a really guy you can look to get exposure to as well. He comes at a little bit of a discount at 5,900 because he doesn't come with that rushing upside, but the amount of yards that he's throwing for, 300 in every single game this year, that's going to change and add up for the Falcons, and some of those are going to get translated to touchdowns. Just like we know the Julio Jones game is coming. Calvin Ridley is not going to continue to underproduce, so that's why Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, and my boy, Will Fuller. Oh my God, Will Fuller. This is the week, guys. This is the week. I've been on Will Fuller all year. He's continuously disappointed me, but this is the week that it's going to happen. He's 4,500 on DraftKings. I'm playing him literally everywhere on DraftKings. I don't care if it's cash. Don't care if it's a GPP. I think he's going to totally smash this week. He has so many air yards. He actually has the most air yards of any player without a touchdown yet this year. So it's going to happen. The Texans have the 3rd highest implied team total on the slate. And one guy that I like as a sneaky play in this game is actually Carlos Hyde. That if you just want to fade, hey, let's say, there's a lot of passing in this game, but who scores the touchdowns? It could end up being Carlos Hyde. He's getting the goal line work. And I think that he's the better option out of the two if you were going to pick between Hyde and Devontae Freeman, who at this point, Devontae Freeman is dust. So Carlos Hyde at 4,300 is the guy that I would target. The Falcons have allowed the fourth most rushing attempts to running backs this season and have allowed the most rushing touchdowns on the road this season as well. Another game I really want to talk about is Ravens at Steelers via Pro Football Focus. 68.2% of Mason Rudolph's passing yards have come from yards after the catch. The percentage is by far the highest in the NFL. So something like this is not usually sustainable, but against the Ravens, we could see it happening. They've allowed the most yards after the catch to receivers this year. Marlon Humphrey shadow covered Odell Beckham last week, but that's not going to happen with Juju Smith-Schuster. Marlon Humphrey is an outside corner and hardly ever goes into the slot. Juju Smith-Schuster runs a lot of his routes from the slot. He's primarily a slot receiver. So Juju, who's going to be super low owned, $6,400. He has a questionable with a toe injury. People are going to avoid him like the plague, kind of like what we saw last week with Chris Godwin. He's still a good player. He's still going to get targets. He's just going to be overlooked. And I think that Juju is in line for a smash spot against this Baltimore Ravens defense. Moving on to our next game, we're going to talk about another sneaky shootout. Is the Cincinnati Bengals hosting the Arizona Cardinals. So you've got Kyler Murray, you've got Andy Dalton, both lower-owned quarterbacks. Andy Dalton's at 5,700. I'm streaming Andy Dalton in a lot of seasonal leagues because I don't have any quarterbacks. I think Dalton's a great play. Everyone's kind of off of him because he sucked on primetime, but this is what Andy Dalton does. He continues to just suck in primetime. He's never really been good there, but then he bounces back and has a great game. It's a good matchup. The Arizona Cardinals are not a good defense, so I really like Andy Dalton in this spot. And he's got plenty of guys that you can use as his options in the receiving game. Auden Tate, 3,500 on DraftKings. Super, super cheap. John Ross has been placed on injured reserve. He's going to see an uptick in targets. You've got Tyler Eifert. The Cardinals defense just can't give more points to the tight end position. Tyler Eifert, 3,300. Another great guy to play. And then even the Bengals defense is in play at 2,500. Both defenses actually are in play. You see both of these defenses have allowed the most sacks in terms of allowed. So I really like both the Bengals and Cardinals defense in this matchup as two of the lower priced defenses. The Bengals are only 2,500. And these teams give up sacks, and there's going to be a lot of dropbacks because neither team is really effective at running the ball. So it's going to be a lot of passing, a lot of dropbacks, and I think that that's going to really benefit these defenses in this game. Another sneaky guy is Keyshawn Johnson on the Cardinals side. Christian Kirk's out of this game. Keyshawn should see some solid targets from the outside at 3,500. And David Johnson. The Bengals are allowing the most receptions to the running back position. David Johnson is one of my cash locks at the running back position at 7,500 for this week. Let's see. What's our next game going to be? We've got the Bills at the Titans. Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen's going to be playing in this game. So I do think that's good for any of the pass catchers for the Bills. I actually think that John Brown and Cole Beasley are both in play. 5,100 for Brown, 4,600 for Beasley. Beasley gets a lot of targets, and we saw last week the Titans like to stop the long ball. They did it against the Falcons, and they really kind of consolidate targets underneath. That's why you saw Mohamed Sanu and Austin Hooper combined for both 23 targets when they face the Titans. And John Brown always has a chance to take one deep with Josh Allen as the starting quarterback. I really like the Titans defense and Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's 6,000, Titans defense is at 3,000, both great plays. Josh Allen's super turnover prone, and Derrick Henry gets Taylor Lewan back. That's huge. That is absolutely huge. He's getting his left tackle back. So I think that's an upgrade to the offensive line. If game script goes as it should, Titans should win this game, and Derrick Henry should eat. Bears at the Raiders. This game is in London, and the only really option I really like here to talk about is Tariq Cohen. With Chase Daniels under center, Tariq Cohen has seen 27 total targets. He's 4,200 or 4,800 on DraftKings. Not a guy. A lot of people are going to be on him. He could receive a lot of targets in the passing game. So keep an eye also on Mike Davis, the running back. If he's healthy and active, I would definitely lean towards Tariq Cohen. And then Darren Waller. Tyrell Williams is banged up, and Tyrell Williams has been the one that's been scoring all the touchdowns. If he doesn't play in this game, I think that Darren Waller is a lock, across the tight end landscape at $5,000. He hasn't scored a touchdown yet, and yet he's the top 5 tight end. That doesn't make any sense. So the touchdowns are eventually going to come for Darren Waller, and if Tyrell Williams is out, this could be the game where those touchdowns kind of finally rain fruition. And now, one of the games I really want to talk about is the Broncos at Chargers. So I love playing Austin Eckler this week at 6,700. I think that a lot of people are going to be off of him because of the Melvin Gordon scare. People are going to be, oh no, I can't play him because Melvin Gordon's going to play. But I would say that this Broncos defense gave up over 200 yards rushing last week to the Jaguars. So I think that there may be enough to go around. Now, what a player that I really like that literally no one is talking about. I listen to a lot of podcasts, guys, and I haven't heard no one talk about Joe Flacco. But Joe Flacco has a chance to be productive in this game. He's $4,700 on DraftKings, which is lower than Chase Daniel. Like, he's the starting quarterback. He's been the starting quarterback this whole season, but his game logs aren't even that bad. Think about it. He's helped produce 2 top wide receivers, Emmanuel Sanders and Cortland Sutton. Joe Flacco's balling out. Like, I'm sorry to admit it, but like, go look at the stats. Like, he is not playing that badly as a quarterback this year, and he's at 4,700, and he's playing against the Chargers, who have half their team on injured reserve. Like, I'm stacking, Joe Flacco with Emmanuel Sanders all day. You have Casey Hayward, who's probably going to be on Cortland Sutton. So I don't like Sutton in this matchup, but Sanders is going to eat in this matchup against the Chargers. And Noah Fant at 2,800 is also a super great option. His snap rate has increased to 73% last week. He's seen at least 4 targets and 29 receiving yards in every single game. And the Chargers have allowed the second most touchdowns to the tight end position. Like, I don't know if it sets the stage for anything better than that. So if you take away anything from listening to this, it's that Joe Flacco is going to have a great game in this, and don't be surprised that he does. And no one is talking about Joe Flacco. I can tell you, I've listened to every podcast. No one's talking about Joe Flacco. So that's kind of one of my major picks for this game here. Now, if there's any other ones that you guys want to talk about, I'm actually going to sign off now. If you want to check out the rest of my slate breakdown, go check out the website at windailysports.com. That is live up there. So thanks for watching, guys.